There was once a class of warriors so feared, so revered, that their very presence commanded silence. But they weren't just warriors. They were poets, philosophers, and monks with swords. They lived by a code that was more than honor. It was life itself. They were the samurai. And their way, the Bushido, still echoes through the soul of every man and woman who seeks purpose, discipline, and inner strength. This is the way of the samurai. Section 1. Origins of the samurai. The story begins in ancient Japan, a land of misty mountains, cherry blossoms, and civil war. For over 1,000 years, Japan was a battleground. Clans fought for power, and chaos reigned. From this chaos rose a new kind of warrior, not just a killer, but a servant, a protector. The samurai, which means one who serves. They were bound to a lord or daimyo, but their true loyalty was to a higher code. As war raged through the land, the samurai became more than soldiers. They became a class of elite warriors, trained not only in combat, but in philosophy, calligraphy, and Zen. They mastered the sword, but also the mind. Section 2. What is Bushido? The soul of the samurai was their code, Bushido, the way of the warrior. It wasn't written in laws. It wasn't taught in schools. It was passed down in silence, from master to student, from blade to soul. Bushido was built on 7 core virtues. 1. Gi, rectitude or justice. To do what is right, even when it's hard. A samurai doesn't ask, what will benefit me, but what is the right thing? Second, U, courage. True courage is living by your values, even when fear stands in the way. 3. Jin, benevolence or compassion. Power means nothing without kindness. A sword should protect, not destroy without purpose. Quartus Rei, respect. Even enemies deserve dignity. Humility was strength. 5. Makoto, honesty. To lie was to stain your soul. A samurai's word was as sharp as their blade. 6. Meiyo, honor. Lose a battle, but never lose your honor. It was everything. 7. Chugi, loyalty. To one's lord, to one's people, to one's self. Bushido wasn't about perfection. It was about devotion. A path walked daily, in silence, in service, in steel. Section 3. The life of a samurai. So what was a day in the life of a samurai? They rose before dawn, meditated in silence, practiced iaido, the art of drawing and striking with the sword in a single motion. They trained for hours, swordsmanship, archery, horse riding, strategy, calligraphy, poetry, tea ceremony. Why poetry? Why tea? Because to master violence, they had to master peace. A samurai believed that true strength came from balance. To control your enemy, you must first control yourself. Their armor was a work of art. Their swords, sacred. The katana was not just a weapon. It was their soul, forged in fire, polished to perfection. And if they failed their code, there was only one way to restore honor. Section 4. Seppuku, the ultimate sacrifice. Seppuku, or ritual suicide, was not a punishment. It was a statement. I have failed, but I will die with dignity. With calm breath and steady hands, the samurai would kneel, draw a blade, and pierce his abdomen, proving that his courage was real. Sometimes, a kaishakunin, a second samurai, would be assigned to end the suffering swiftly. This act terrified enemies, but more than fear, it inspired respect. Because in a world of dishonor and betrayal, the samurai chose integrity, even in death. Section 5. Zen and the Mind of a Samurai. The samurai weren't just physical warriors. They were mental masters. They studied Zen Buddhism, seeking clarity, mindfulness, and detachment. They meditated daily. They practiced stillness. Why? Because in battle, hesitation meant death, and a mind clouded by anger or fear was a broken blade. Zen taught them to let go of attachment, even to life itself. It taught them to act without thinking, to trust instinct honed by years of discipline. Zen and Bushido were the twin swords of the samurai soul. Section 6. Famous Samurai and Legends. Let's meet some of the legends. Miyamoto Musashi, the undefeated sword saint. He won over 60 duels, wrote the Book of Five Rings, and lived as a wandering ronin, a masterless samurai. Musashi didn't just teach swordplay. He taught strategy, mindset, spiritual clarity. The way is in training, he wrote. Fixation is the way to death. Fluidity is the way to life. Tomoe Gozen, the fearsome female samurai. With bow and blade, she rode into battle like a storm, proving the warrior's spirit has no gender. Saigo Takamori, the last true samurai. In the late 1800s, as Japan modernized and the sword was outlawed, Saigo rose in rebellion. Though outgunned, outnumbered, and doomed, he stood for the code. And when defeat came, he chose death with honor. Even today, he is called the last samurai, a symbol of unwavering spirit. Section 7. The Fall of the Samurai. As the world changed, so did Japan. Guns replaced swords, democracy replaced feudal lords, and the samurai faded into myth. By the late 1800s, the samurai class was officially abolished, but they didn't vanish. Their spirit lived on, in martial arts, in military code, in the quiet strength of Japanese culture, and in every soul who dares to live by honor. Section 8. Modern Lessons from the Samurai, 27 to 30. Why should you care about the way of the samurai today? Because in a world drowning in distraction, anxiety, and selfishness, Bushido is a weapon, a compass, a lifeline. Want discipline? Study the way of the blade. Want purpose? Live for something greater than yourself. Want peace of mind? Sit in silence. Trust your instincts. You don't need a sword to be a samurai. You need courage, integrity, stillness, loyalty, and the will to act with honor. Your battles might not be on a battlefield. They might be against doubt, fear, laziness, or injustice, but the way is still the same. Be fierce like Musashi. Be loyal like Saigo. Be calm like the Zen monk. Be a warrior. Be a poet. Be a protector. If the spirit of the samurai awakens something in you today, if you feel the fire of Bushido lighting your soul, then don't just watch. Live it. Subscribe for more warrior wisdom, untold history, and ancient truths. Like this video if you believe the way of the samurai still matters. Comment below. I walk the way of the samurai. Until next time, honor, courage, discipline. This is the way of the samurai.